Thank you to Switchbot for sponsoring today's video. I showed you the Switchbot curtain already, but now I want to tell you about some more handy products that Switchbot sells. For example, you might like the original Switchbot, which turns any dumb appliance smart instantly, and it works with just about any rocker switch and any button of any appliance. You might also like the Switchbot curtain, which makes any curtain motorized and smart with a 30-second installation. The Switchbot contact sensor is better than most door and window sensors and can tell if the user is leaving or arriving at home. You want to set up a home monitoring camera? Then why not check out the Switchbot indoor camera? You can also live stream to your camera anytime and anywhere. They also have the Switchbot meter, which monitors your home's temperature and humidity. And lastly, I want to tell you about the Switchbot humidifier, which is controllable through an app on your phone. I love Switchbot products because they enable you to make your home smarter without renovations or incredibly expensive upgrades. They're also perfect for people who are older or maybe have some limited mobility issues. Make sure you check out the details in the pinned comment below and check out their amazing Black Friday deals with like 30 to 35% off site-wide. Thanks again, Switchbot, and now on to today's video. Hi, welcome to Jovie's home. So today I really wanted to make a fun video about 8 things that I still struggle with when driving in the Netherlands, things that I struggle to get used to, or things that I'm still really careful about. This video is just meant to be really fun, okay? So please, to those of you who get upset if I say anything negative at all about the Netherlands, just know I don't want to move back to the United States. I want to stay here, but I'm still allowed to complain sometimes, okay? That is part of the Dutch citizenship process. You gotta learn to complain. So that's what I'm doing here. Ik oefen mijn klachten. If you want to hear about the 8 things that I still struggle to get used to when driving in the Netherlands, then why don't you come on in, kick off your shoes and stay a while. I'm really glad you're here. So I think that the first thing that we're going to talk about would be a bit of a shock to anybody coming from a country where biking is not as prevalent as it is here in the Netherlands. So if you're coming from any other country, you are going to be a little bit overwhelmed, I think, when you have to share the roads with bikes. Especially during rush hour when you have all the mamas on their mama fietses, like on the small roads, and everyone's going there, and you have then the bus and you have the trucks that are delivering stuff, and then you in your car, and you're all on this like tiny road with the canals right next to you, and you're thinking, am I gonna make it? What the hell is this? Typically Dutch bikers are really protected. There are specific bike lanes and they go in those bike lanes, but the roads are narrow. They are very narrow when you compare, for example, to the United States, or I think it would even feel narrow if you're coming from an EU country where you don't have as much of a bike culture, and so the lanes are still the same, but then you add in the bikers, it's gonna feel more narrow, and it feels a little bit scary, especially when you have bikes overtaking other bikes, and then they do kind of come into the like the road for cars, and you have to really look out for that. I have been driving in the Netherlands now for 9 years, and I am still super vigilant about bikes. And when I see people on bikes, I slow down. I'm just really extra careful. Maybe that pisses off the Dutch experts that are driving behind me that I slow down and I'm extra cautious, but I'd rather be cautious than hurt somebody. The next thing I want to talk about is the street signs. Now, thank God that I live in an era of Google Maps and GPSs and whatever with the car, because I would not be able to get around the Netherlands without technology. In the United States, pretty much on every single stoplight, you will have a ginormous street name. And also on the, at the, you will see the actual intersection. You will see both street signs. And they're huge, so that even if you're the 3rd or 4th car in the line, you can still clearly read and orient yourself to where you are. In the Netherlands, that's not the case. We are lucky to get a bigger, let's say, street sign at some intersections, but most of the time, the name of the street is going to be like a tiny little plaque, like, and it's going to be attached to a building. And so even if you're the first car in the line, oftentimes you really are like looking like, where's the street sign? Where am I? I cannot tell you how many times my GPS is like, turn left on blah, 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 blah street. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is that this one? Or is it the next? It's just, it can really be tricky because the street signs, I feel like it's like a game. It's like let's see who can find it. Like, I don't know. But definitely I wish the street signs were bigger and that we could see them more clearly, because if I'm driving somewhere new where I haven't been before, I typically prefer to go with another adult in my car that can kind of be a co-navigator that can help like staring for the signs or the streets or whatever, so that I can focus on driving and not hitting any bikes or trams or anything else, so that we can get to the place where we're going to safely. But it's something that I miss. I do miss having the giant street signs. One of the things that I've noticed here is that, and you guys are you're gonna get mad at me in the comments, but I feel like in the Netherlands, when it comes to overtaking or passing a car, it is very aggressively done here. Like it is aggressive, okay? And this is what I mean. This is what I mean by the aggressive. Not the driving in general, not aggressive, but the overtaking. So let's say we have these two cars and they're driving, and now this car wants to overtake this car. So it goes like this, and then here's the aggressive part. It just like gives its blinker and it's like right here. It doesn't leave space. Whereas in the United States and other places that I've driven, you drive and then you leave a space and then you overtake. Almost every time when my car is overtaken here in the Netherlands, and it's done in this, what I call aggressive way, like this, my car, then I have to slam on my brakes so that I don't hit this car, because they've now overtaken me and then slow down, or they've, you know, cut in front of me. And I'm just like, good job, dude. That was good driving. Like, I mean, do you feel good about what you just did? Is that, I can't, like, when people overtake, I'm just so annoyed when they do it like that, because I just feel like it's dangerous. Leave some extra room. It's not going to kill you. You're not going to, there's nothing wrong with leaving an extra space, okay? You don't have to like instantly just cut in front of the other person because you've overtaken them. Like leave 2 meters, 3 meters, like leave some space. It's all right. I promise you. While we're on the subject of overtaking, let's talk about overtaking only from the left. That's something that I'm not used to. In the States, you can just, everybody uses every lane and you can overtake from wherever you're going. Your job is to drive and to be observant of all the sides of your car, not just the left side of your car. So I don't know. It's just something that, yeah, I feel it's something that it's still to this day a little bit difficult for me to get used to. Because sometimes I'm in this lane and I'm not even overtaking, but if I'm in the right lane and this guy is going real slow in the middle lane, I'm gonna pass you, and then I get some dirty looks. People will give you like a look like, what are you doing? You're just, and I'm not overtaking. I'm just going faster in the right lane than they're going in the left, you know, in the more left lane. But dude, if you're driving slow, I gotta get to where I'm going. And I don't know. But yeah, this is something that I still cannot get used to, and definitely I've noticed in the Netherlands. I get so many comments when non-American people drive in my car with me when I do this. We're driving, I'm about to make a turn or change my lane. I put on my blinker and then I check my mirrors. And then I do this move, and I get called out for it so much, but I do this move. Ooh. And I check my blind spot. I turn my head fully, and I check to see if there is somebody. Because mirrors are great, and that's fine, but we do have blind spots. And sure, there are things you can buy, like extra mirrors to check your blind spot. I wouldn't trust that. I trust my eyeballs checking, and it's just a second, right? I'm not talking about like I'm not driving like this. I'm not driving like that for 5 minutes, not paying attention. It's a quick check. I know what's in front of me. I know the traffic situation. But like in the Netherlands, but I think also in Europe in general, people are not typically trained to look over their shoulders. Maybe you are, maybe you are. I'm curious. Let me know if when you were taking your driving classes, were you trained to look over your shoulder or not? Because seriously, so many times people will mention that in the car with me, like, what are you doing? You're looking in the back. And I'm like, I mean, for a second, you know, the same amount of time as it would take me to change a radio station or something. And like, it's just a second. And yet I know that there's nobody there and it's safer for me to make that non-aggressive turn. This one, I have a really strong like love-hate relationship with it because I love the reasoning behind it, but it annoys the out of me in the process. And that is that when there has been an accident or a flat tire or whatever, when there is a car that is on the side of the road, it is the number of lanes that then become closed as a result. So in the US, let's say you have these 3 lanes and something happens in this lane, only this lane will be closed and these 2 lanes will remain open. Whereas in the Netherlands, if something happens in this lane will also become closed, and then there's only 1 lane available for the traffic. Why does this seem to happen when you are late for that business meeting, or you are, you overslept and you are really trying to get to work on time? That seems to be like the exact moment that somebody is gonna have a flat tire over here, and then this lane also becomes closed, and then you are stuck in a traffic jam for hours here, because now everybody from these 2 lanes has to merge into this 1 lane and clear the path. I mean, look, for the safety of the people involved in cleaning up this accident or helping this person or the emergency vehicles, I get it. I get why you close the 2. But it's annoying. As somebody who's, having to deal with the traffic, it's annoying. If you're coming from the United States, you know that when you're at a red light and you want to turn right, typically, unless there is a sign forbidding it, even though the light is red, you are allowed to make a right turn on red. In the Netherlands, you are most definitely not allowed to do that. So don't do it. Okay, don't do it. It's very interesting to me that that's the case. Although at the same time it makes sense, because now the way that the traffic flows are regulated, it's different. And if you were to make a right on red, you could get into an accident because somebody else is going to be coming from a different direction. And actually, this one, I wanted to include it because now when I go to the United States, I stop at red lights and I don't turn on red because I've become used to the Dutch way. And then people will honk at me and get mad at me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the States, I can turn right on red. But that is something that is a noticeable difference between the United States and the Netherlands when we are talking about driving, that you cannot do a right turn on red, or that you can, depending on which country you're coming from. So I'm curious, if you're from the States especially, what do you think about that? And if you're coming from any other country, are you allowed to turn right on red or not? Is that just an American thing, or is that kind of like some countries do it, some countries don't? I'm curious. Let me know. This last one is dedicated to Dan, who makes a comment every time when we're driving together. And that is this idea that the person coming from the right has the right of way when there is no other sign directing you as to who has the priority. This is something that I really feel like is strange. A car going like this, from this way, you have 2 cars, okay? This guy and this guy. The car coming from here is on this guy's right. So this car has the priority. Doesn't matter that this car is going to be going straight and this car is going to be turning. This car still has the priority. And that it really numbs my brain. Like I don't get it. I don't understand how somebody doing a maneuver like a turn has priority over somebody who is going straight. I don't get it. I just don't. And so sometimes when you're leaving like my neighborhood, or even in Dan's neighborhood, there are people that, yeah, I'm about to be making a turn and they have to stop and wait for me to execute my maneuver only because I'm coming from the right. And I don't get it. Here's one case where I do prefer kind of the American way, which is that the person going straight has the priority and the person doing a bigger maneuver does not have the priority. And that's it. So you guys, that is my list. Those are my 8 things that I still cannot or struggle to get used to driving between the United States and the Netherlands. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming over and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to reading your comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Doei!